Hey there, my name is Jay Swanson, and I'm about to read to you from my book, Dark Horse. In fact, I'm probably going to read the entire thing to you, so grab something warm to drink, cuddle up in a blanket, and prepare to listen to my sultry voice as I read to you from the wonders of my book. From the Oracle of the Dread Gods, this is Dark Horse, written by Jay Swanson and read by Jay Swanson. Chakra circled with the monster, his sword so heavy now he feared he would drop it. The wounds along his arms throbbed, distracting him from the necessary focus that would keep him alive through this night. And he must stay alive, for if he failed, Melina would die. The monster itself was the size of a bear, though in the darkness it looked and sounded much more like a wolf. Like everything else he'd encountered in this place, it didn't fit his knowledge of the beasts of the world. Its eyes glowed yellow in the moonlight, as did the slobber dripping from its jowls. It circled with a hunger not driven by food, and kept its distance not from fear, but for caution. No one had made it this far, Chakra knew now. The monster was not going to take him lightly. The still pool in the center of the clearing glistened, the water maintaining a natural barrier between the predator and the prey. Chakra adjusted his grip. The notched blade barely reflected the moonlight any longer, its lower half dull beyond sharpening. The only thing that gave him any solace against the black stench of the place was the light blue glow emanating from the topaz in his armband. The ancient piece of armor seemed to whisper to him, to warn him of tree roots and broken stone. It hadn't been so clear to him before, but its voice had grown more real the longer he had worn it, its presence a constant comfort. The greatest comfort it brought was the simple hope that he could save Melina. Melina. Her name gave him hope. Her plight gave him focus. I'm coming. I won't let you die. The monster roared and lunged over the pool, clearing the 20 feet between them in a single bound. Chakra rolled to his left, stabbing back the way he had come as the monster landed with a snarl. Its claws batted the blade away, forcing him to spin as it snapped at him with long jaws. He whipped the blade back around. The monster recoiled to avoid whistling steel. Chakra kicked out. He caught the monster's neck strike with his foot to its nose and saved himself the bite, but was thrown by the impact onto his back. He scrambled as he slid, bracing his shoulders with his arms out and using the momentum to kick back up and over. He was on his knees and ready before the monster had left the ground. It came at him from above, eyes glowing bright. He rolled forward this time, thrusting up with the blade to catch its belly on the descent. He caught enough flesh to draw blood, but its claws flailed to block and knocked his blade to the side. The tail struck him on the side of the head as it came down, sending Chakra spinning back towards the pool. He got to his feet and staggered into the water. At its deepest, it barely rose above his waist. For that he was grateful, as the monstrous bear wolf followed him in. What are you? How do I kill you? Chakra grit his teeth against the chill of the water and continued to back slowly towards the other side. The bear wolf entered tentatively, its long tail skimming the surface as its bare chest barely entered the water. I've been in worse situations over the last day, Chakra thought, but this is not going well. Melina. Her name came to him, lending him strength, lending him urgency. The bear wolf howled and leaped straight out of the water. 1,000 strings of glistening pearls flew out behind it in the moonlight. Chakra howled his own cry and rose his blade to meet the beast head on. 2 days earlier. Hit! Peg shouted from across the field. Moments later, the thwack of an arrow striking a log finally reached them. How on earth do you do that, Ames? Ames laughed as he drew another arrow from the quiver on the ground beside him. I can just feel it, he shouted back. Peg stood at a point halfway between them and the target where he could count score. I don't think Chalk can manage a shot like that, Peg shouted back as he laughed again in disbelief. Always knew there was something off about you. Ames smiled and looked at Chakra as he notched the arrow on his bow. You want to give it a try? Prove him wrong for once, would you? Peg's never wrong, Ames. You should know that, he said with a knowing smile as he took the bow from Ames. But I'll admit, I have no idea how you do this. He sighed unconsciously as he stared out across the field. What's that all about? It's nothing. Chakra gave his head a small toss. So, how do you do this? You know how the arrow will always curve down towards the ground Ames asked as he took a step back to study Chakra's form. Yes, Amelia? Chakra asked with mock seriousness. He had no idea where this is going. Don't call me that. But it's your name, Chakra said, batting innocent eyes. Ames just glared at him, then ruffled his red curls as he squinted, trying to come up with the right words to describe what he was thinking. Just imagine gravity will take it, except to the side, and then you pretty much got it. Good oaks, Chakra scoffed as he raised the bow. You make it sound like magic. I wish it was magic, Ames said. If I was an expressionist, I could turn Peg into a frog and leave him for the raccoons. I heard that, Peg shouted. The gap through the trees was 30 yards on. Chakra knew the target was another 40 beyond that, and off to the left. He had placed it there himself, so at least he wasn't firing blind. He grunted under the strain of Ames' massive bow, and then released through the trees. Are you aiming for the same target? Peg yelled from the tree line. Because I think that arrow's in the next province. I should have aimed at him. Chakra jabbed a thumb in the direction of the trees as he handed the bow back to Ames. You would have rounded up a lot closer, at least. Ames already had an arrow in hand. You've got to loosen up your stance. He stepped forward, bringing the shaft around, knocking it to the string, and pulling back, all in the same motion. He released only a moment later as he finished moving forward, the arrow whizzing through the trees and arching back out of sight to the left. Hit! Peg shouted as the sound of the arrow striking the target came back to them through the forest. Not your best shot, but you're still about 3 miles closer to the center of the target than Chalk. Hold the target over your face and see how well I shoot, Chakra shouted back. How can I see how well you shoot with the target over my face? Peg asked with a shrug. You should probably just get it over with. Do us all a favor. Ames held the bow out to Chakra. I'm thinking about it. Thrust ahoy! Peg pointed between them. Ames groaned as he unstrung his bow. I don't see why you don't like thrusts. Chakra took the string from Ames as he dug for its pouch. How can you? I mean, look at him. He's like a bale of hay that doesn't realize it can roll rather than hop from edge to edge. Thrust was running toward them now, huffing and puffing as he tried to call out to them from across the field. I actually chose to shoot at the far end of the field so he wouldn't find us, Ames said as he slid his bow into the long quiver and slung it on his back. You didn't, Chakra laughed. It's like the cowlard can smell us out. Guys! Thrust only had about half the field to go, and he already looked like he might give up and walk the rest of the way. Guys! If he manages to run the rest of the way, it'll be important, Peg said as he joined them. It looks like he's going to make it, Ames mocked. That's enough. Chakra started walking to meet Thrust in the field. The tall grasses had long turned to golden brown, interspersed with red and orange leaves that had been blown out and captured in their wavy grasp. The trees stood well back, letting the leaves do their scouting for them. Winter would not be far behind. What's going on, Thrust? Chakra asked as Thrust came to a blundering halt in front of him. He gasped for air in his usual overdramatic way, half disappearing in the grass as he gripped his knees. It only made Chakra smile that much more to see him. They've posted. What? Ames almost shoved Chakra aside to get closer. They've posted? Yeah. Thrust put up a hand as if to buy himself some space. They posted yesterday night, on the door of the sanctum. Why didn't you say so last night, then? Ames was beside himself. I don't go to the sanctum every night, Ames. I saw it just now for the first time. We've got to go. Ames was jumping with excitement now. Come on, you guys. Let's go. Peg grabbed Ames by the shoulders and stared him in the eye. Last slick there's buying tonight. And in a dash, he took off for the village. You can't take a head start. Ames was already chasing hot on his heels, cursing as he went. I know you need it, but don't think I can't catch you. You can't. Come on, Thrust. Chakra hefted his bag over his shoulder and put his hand on Thrust's shoulder to turn him around. I'll walk with you. Tell me what the post said. Well, he still hadn't fully caught his breath. The High King declared war on the Stone Lord, and they want men for the infantry mostly. They're going to pay a gold piece for every month of service. They say they need some archers, so Ames will be happy to hear about that, but they don't want nobody to do apothecary work. Sorry, buddy. Chakra patted him on the back. A whole gold piece? Every month? It was an unheard of sum. Chakra could save everything he needed to build Melina a house within half a year, long before that. I just never wanted to be in the infantry, you know? Thrust sighed. I want to make people better, not hurt them none. I know you don't, Chakra said. And it was true. Ever since they were kids and had first started training to fight with the local recruiters, Thrust had practically refused to fight. He was a natural, though few people knew it. With a heavy staff in his hands and the proper provocation, he could break bones with a disturbing ease. But that was a well-kept secret, and in training, he rarely participated in more than the required sparring matches. He had taken a lot of beatings for it, and there weren't many other kids who had done less than spit on him, but he hadn't let them get the better of him. Thrust had worked hard to learn to heal instead of demonstrating how to harm, and had never refused to bind a single wounded kid who had been deriding him only an hour before. But derision won't be the biggest of his troubles on the field, Chakra thought. He shook visions of Thrust having to kill from his mind and smiled. You're still good in a scrap, though, Thrust, especially with that staff of yours. You'll be fine. You think they'll let me bring my plants, Chakra? I doubt it. They could see the low brown-roofed village through the thin veil of trees now. It looked like people were really astir over the posting, even from here. Chakra understood. He could barely keep from running to join them and find out more himself. A whole gold piece? But I need my Taringa plants. What about my rabbit? Thrust looked really distressed now. What if they take Ruffles away from me? They won't, will they? We'll figure out a way to bring Ruffles along, Thrust. Don't worry. None of us wants to leave him behind. He smiled at the relief that flooded Thrust's face. He has such a gentle heart. How can they make him kill? Come on, let's go see which of those two idiots is paying for our drinks. The whole of Alda, their village, was in fact astir as everyone flooded the center square to read the postings on the walls of the various businesses, town hall, and sanctum that stood to surround it. 2 recruiters from Telda stood on the steps of the king's monument in the center of the square. Chakra only recognized Bryn, a recruiter that had been coming here since he was a boy. He was discussing something with the other recruiter, but Chakra expected they would be announcing that they were open for business any moment. A gold piece every month, Ames was shaking Chakra before he even knew that Ames was there. Every month! If the campaign lasts through the winter, we'll be rich! Even the archers? Chakra asked. I thought archers got paid in whippings. Forget the whippings. I'm going to buy a mountain. Ames laughed as Peg shoved him aside. 1 whole gold piece per month. Yeah, Chakra said. We know. Per month. It's not really that much, Thrust said timidly from behind Chakra. I mean, is that all your life is worth? It is if I get one every month, Peg did a little twirl. Some of us don't exactly see a lot of gold pieces, Tubbs. Ames glowered at Thrust for a second. Not everyone's father can be an apothecary. Times are hard for us, too, Thrust said quietly. Yeah. Ames rolled his eyes as he turned away. Real tough. The recruiters at the center of the square began to shout for everyone to quiet down and listen. Ames still had a scowl on his face when he turned to say something, and Chakra gave him a little shove in the back for it. Always ready to brood, Chakra thought. This is some of the best news of our lives, and he's sulking already. By decree of the High King, all men of at least 16 summers who are strong in body and fit of mind, and who are willing and able to volunteer for military service may do so on this day or the next. Any man deemed fit will be taken to Telda in 2 days' time, from whence we shall join the army below the capital. I've never seen the capital, Thrust said to himself, already in wonder of the city none of them had ever seen. All men who join the infantry over these 2 days are guaranteed 1 gold piece for every full month of service they complete. Any man who proves his worth in a skilled art, such as archery, smithing, or healing, will be paid an additional 3 silvers for every skill each month, provided he brings his own horse or equipment. Healing? Thrust shook Chakra from behind, his innate strength for his size causing Chakra's teeth to clatter. Any who would seek to enter the king's service may do so over the next 2 days at the Ice Dragon. Armor will be provided in Telda as available, but you are expected to carry your own sword. And with that, he stepped down and into the crowd. Ames laughed as he shoved Peg to the side. Well, at least I'll be able to afford the beer then. 3 silvers? I need to learn how to fix horseshoes so I can make it 6. Hey, Chakra. Peg gave him a tap on the arm. Lady Love approaches. Chakra turned to see Melina making her way towards him through the dispersing crowd. Her jet black hair was tied back with a red ribbon that worked its way down under the scarf around her slender neck. He couldn't help but blush to see her. I fear we must depart, fair brothers, lest we interfere in the cosmic destiny of these, our star-crossed raven lovers. Peg did a little bow as he began to depart. Shut up, Peg. Chakra still couldn't stop the grin on his face from growing. We'll see you with the dragon tonight. Don't forget, Ames said as Peg pulled him away. He won't, Ames. Why would he? Peg grinned. I mean, you are paying. Only for 1 round, Ames shot Peg a punch in the arm as they made off laughing. Hey, Chalk, Melina said as she stopped just in front of him, her brown and white dress ruffling to a stop, as if it hadn't been warned of her impending halt. Hey, Lena. Yeah, hey, Melina. Thrust waved his hand from behind Chakra. She laughed. Hi, Thrust. Hey, Thrust, Chakra returned. We're going to go for a walk, okay? Okay. They started walking through the square before Chakra realized that Thrust was still following. I mean, Melina and I are going to go for a walk, buddy. Oh. Thrust blushed as he panicked in his search for an exit. Right. Sorry, I'll just go this way then, he said as he pointed to the left, following his finger as if it were pulling him along. Bye. Bye, Thrust. Melina giggled as he left. He's going to be a handful to watch out for. Chakra smiled again as they walked out into the forest. If you'd like to continue listening to me read from Dark Horse, you can click on the next chapter button right here. If you're just starting, well, you could start from the beginning, but, I mean, you basically just did start from the beginning. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the story.